to another thrilling, exciting, roasting, bone-chilling something episode of Beyond the Campfire.
Yep.
Just mixing it up a little bit. I am one of your hosts, Stephen the Indian, alongside Will, the cowboy.
That's me.
Yeah, we're a cowboy and Indian that talks about ghosts, conspiracy theories, cryptids, cults, all that kind of spooky stuff. So,
Yep.
if you are interested in our content, what should they do, Will?
Well, you guys should definitely go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Beyond Campfire. We got a lot of cool stuff there. And if you like watching our clips, you can go find us on TikTok at Beyond the Campfire Podcast. And yeah, that's where we're at. Come follow us so that we can be up in the know nows and all of that. And to our Patreon listeners, we apologize. We'll be getting those episodes out shortly. It's been pretty hectic, and if you want to blame somebody, you can blame Steven.
Yes, I've been very busy with law school, but I am
Nerd.
graduating this month. So,
Next week.
yeah, so we'll have Patreon episodes coming. We'll have regular episodes coming, not last minute, but
And
and yeah.
do we want to go ahead and announce what's coming in September, or do we want to wait a little bit?
You know what? Let's why don't we go ahead and announce it? Yeah, I'll let you announce it.
Real quick before we get into this, we're pulling the plug on probably Beyond the Culture. Beyond the Culture was great. We enjoyed it. It's just there was not a lot of good consistency with it, and it's also because and also Steven's shifting to being a podcaster where he's going to be here every Friday and then every Wednesday or Sunday whenever he's deciding to do it. I think Maddie suggested Wednesday. We'll probably discuss it later, but yeah, we'll discuss it later. But sometime during the week, you can watch Steven twice, once on Beyond the Campfire and on Beyond the Bible.
That's right. Got a new podcast coming in September, Beyond the Bible. So I'll be talking things in Scripture. We'll be talking about artifacts related to Scripture, theories related to Scripture. We'll get deep into the text and just why people have had different beliefs on it. So I'll touch on orthodoxy, just like classic traditional Christian understanding, but I'll also talk about other interesting theories that people may have had. And
yeah,
so yeah, be on the lookout for that. That will come, yes, hopefully, Lord willing, sometime in September. Beyond the Culture won't totally die. It'll just be a YouTube exclusive, and it'll be kind of just whenever I feel like it, which might be every 4 or 5 months. So
I was going to kind of mention this because Maddie, because Maddie isn't really the boss of I'm the boss of this company. Like I'm in charge of Beyond the Media. And I mean, Steven's technically name is on the title, but I'm the one mainly running things. But I'm not actually running things. My wife is. But she suggested that maybe what will happen is Beyond the Culture might be consumed and integrated into Beyond the Bible, to where once every couple, maybe not every month, but like maybe once in a while, there might be like a Beyond the Bible episode where it's going into something about the news and pulling Christianity into that. Because like I know you had that one episode come out recently, and that would have been a great segment on like Beyond the Bible, for example. So that's something we'll probably talk about, is maybe Beyond the Culture not disappearing entirely, but being consumed into Beyond the Bible.
sounds good, my friend.
Anyways, so back to what this podcast. Pack your bags because we're flying to Alaska, the final frontier. Well, actually, space is the final frontier. Alaska's still a wild frontier, and we're traveling there because
might be the final frontier on Earth, maybe.
If you thought the Bermuda Triangle was scary, the Bermuda Triangle has nothing on this. This is a triangle on steroids. Imagine me on crack. That's this triangle, okay? So Steven is the Bermuda Triangle. I'm the Alaskan Triangle.
There you go.
Don't put your eye in there, buddy. They're going to think you're part of the Illuminati.
I know, right? Yeah. So Will and me were talking about this topic
I think
earlier,
it's wild.
and yeah, I mean, we all heard about the Bermuda Triangle in like elementary school, and they're like, oh yeah, all these
Yeah.
people disappeared there, and then when Will was describing the Alaskan Triangle, I was like, why
I'm
the
gonna
heck
tell you what.
talked about this? This is like it on steroids.
The reason why, like and I'll get into this in just a second. The reason why the Alaskan Triangle has become such a phenomenon was because there's a very, very famous disappearance involved in this. So, like, with the Bermuda Triangle, like the Cyclops was just a normal ship, became famous because it was involved in the Bermuda Triangle. Flight, the squadron of airplanes that disappeared, they weren't probably really famous, but because of the triangle, they became famous. But this disappearance was famous before it got involved into the triangle.
There we go. Yeah.
So
Have you seen that meme where it's Patrick Star from SpongeBob, and then like the first panel he's like looking like himself, but in panel he's like buff and ripping off his shirt.
Yeah. So that's the Bermuda Triangle, and then this is the Alaskan Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle is like tiny little regular Patrick, and Alaskan Triangle is buff Patrick ripping off his shirt, ready to just do what the Alaskan Triangle does.
Well, so the way we're going to go through this is I'll kind of explain. I'll explain what the triangle is, then kind of go into what could have what kind of started all this. I'll go into a couple of the disappearances because there's no way I'm going to cover every disappearance. Then we'll go into some theories of what happened. And here's the thing I'm going to say about the Alaskan Triangle that's completely different from the Bermuda Triangle, right? The Bermuda Triangle, nobody's really disappeared in a while. But with this triangle, there is so many disappearances we'll get into. I'm not going to say the number just yet. But the crazy thing is, even though there's like all these theories of what it could be, and there's the most likely explanation, even the most likely explanation is like the worst scenario ever. Like this thing is just its own kind of beast,
I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm always somewhat excited for all of our topics, but like this topic in particular, I'm really ready and excited to dive into this one. So
yeah. So the Alaskan Triangle, or the Alaskan Bermuda Triangle, really is just called the Alaskan Triangle, but it is Alaska's own Bermuda Triangle. And just like the one in the Atlantic, it is a place of untamed wilderness where people just vanish, right? People just literally disappear. Okay. So I want to go into the first main disappearance that really drew attention to the triangle and made people start really breaking down what this place is, what's truly going on. And like I said, the numbers are phenomenal of what has happened. So this triangle really got its attention in October of 1972. And it was because there's a small plane who was carrying the U.S. House Majority Leader, Hale Boggs, Alaskan Congressman Nick Begich, and aide Russell Broom, and their Bush pilot Don Johns, and they were flying into the triangle, and they disappeared.
Just like that.
Just like that. So remember I told you these were famous people? This is literally the United States Congress House Majority Leader.
Yeah, that's insane.
And a congressman involved, and an aide involved, and they just disappeared. So you're probably like, whoa. You're probably thinking, how can these people just disappear? Like, there had to have been a search party. And there was a search party. So for about a month, there was 50 civilian planes, 40 military aircraft, about a dozen boats, and then these boats, and like I said, 50 civilian aircraft, 40 military aircraft, they searched about 32,000 square miles of Alaskan wilderness looking for these people for 1 month. And
yeah, that's quite the
no wreck. There was no wreck they found. They found no bodies, no people, no plane, no debris, nothing. They just vanished.
Sheesh. Dude, when you said they just vanished, this lamp right next to me flickered.
That's pretty spooky.
That is pretty spooky.
Yeah, so they just vanished. They were just gone. And because of this, people really started piling in conspiracies about what's going on here. So the triangle spans in the north, you've got Barrow, Alaska, and then it goes down to Anchorage and then Juneau. So those are the 3 points of the triangle. So you can kind of see right there. I've drew it out. My wonky looking Alaska, but that is the triangle. It's not as the shape of it is not the same shape as like the Bermuda Triangle, but it still covers a large area. So since 1970, 20,000 people have disappeared in the triangle, and there are still people that go missing to this day.
Since 1970.
Since 1970.
55 years, 20,000 people. That's an average of.
I actually have the average number.
Yeah, wait. You know it or you don't know it?
I know it. I got it written down.
What's the average number of people that disappear there?
So, first off, the missing person rate is double the national average in Alaska, in the Alaskan Triangle.
Sheesh, that's insane.
About every year, 500 to 2,000 people disappear in the triangle.
See, that's wild to me because that's like more than one person every day, roughly.
Yeah. Well, that's not even roughly one person. If you had 2,000 people disappearing, that's like 10 people disappearing, you know?
And yeah, I mean, if even one person was disappearing like every week, that's odd. That's really bad. But you have like 10 people disappearing every day, that's insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's ridiculously crazy, the numbers, because, and here's the crazy thing is sometimes authorities might find evidence of what happened to these people, but out of all those people, like 500, 2,000 people disappeared without a single trace, no evidence, no leads, nothing to tell these people where they went. They're just gone.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, with that many people, it's no wonder that eventually somebody famous would disappear over there. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what seems to have happened.
So here's the scary thing, okay? And this is the reason why this area has people disappear like crazy. Do you want to take a guess how big, how many acres of wilderness Alaska contains?
Oh man, hundreds of thousands, maybe even
57 million acres of wilderness.
wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and in that terrain, you've got glaciers, deep crevices, dense forest, and mountains. You could so easily get lost and never be found.
Honestly, I was gonna say with land that massive, maybe it's no wonder people haven't been found. But I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That's. I mean, all I know is I don't plan on going to the Alaskan wilderness for at any time for any reason whatsoever. But yeah, just crazy, absolutely crazy.
So we'll go into there's some more disappearances I have, and then I got two disappearances I'm gonna talk about, but one I'm gonna save because it kind of can lead into one of the theories. Um, but so far, okay, so there's the mountain marathon race runner. So there's a seasoned 65-year-old runner who vanished during the grueling Mount Marathon race with no trace of him ever found. There was a hiker. A man went missing on a remote mountain hike and was never found. Investigators later found an unexplained circle of rocks near an isolated cabin where he was last seen. So those are just two out of the 20,000 disappearances. Because I just kind of like looked up well-known disappearances, and the biggest well-known disappearance is that of the U.S. House Majority Leader guy. His is the most well-known, but these are two other known theories or other disappearances. But I'm going to go into the theories. I'm going to save the least likely for the end, just because it could be what's happening. Who knows? And there, like I said, there's one disappearance I'll cover because his death could hint to maybe what's happening with some of these people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you
But
guys know me, I tend to be the more logic guy where I'm just like, if there's a plausible explanation, I'll probably. But
and like I said, some of these theories, there could be multiple theories that just stack on top of each other. So that's why we're going to go through them, and then maybe we'll after we go through the last disappearance and we go through these, we might be like, hey, what do you think could have happened?
Before you go into it, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to take a guess that most of these disappearances are happening just because of the massive size of the Alaskan wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm like, I don't know if anything spooky or supernatural is going on per se. I just think you have a land that massive. Yeah, it would make sense people are. But that's just my gut instinct. As we hear the theories, maybe you convince me, Will. I don't know. So you got me close to believing in aliens a couple of times. So we'll see.
Well, with Frederick Valentich, there was no denying aliens at that point.
Yeah, that one was the case where I was the closest to believing in them. But
Oh yeah.
anyway,
All right.
all
So
right.
the first theory is magnetic anomalies and navigational errors. So the Alaskan Triangle, basically the theory is that the Alaskan Triangle disrupts compasses and GPS systems, potentially due to geomagnetic issues. And this could be due to like the fact that Alaska is so close to the magnetic North Pole, um, that it can naturally interfere with navigational instruments. So like, with the Bermuda Triangle, it's like, okay, there's compass is going wonky and it's kind of like, well, this is weird. But for Alaska, it could make sense just because of how close they very much are to the geomagnetical North Pole. Geomagnetic anomalies may occur due to underground mineral deposits or tectonic activity. Some areas of Alaska are particularly active geologically. Some researchers speculate these anomalies may create energy vortexes, a fringe idea suggesting that certain Earth locations concentrate electromagnetic energy and affect human consciousness or even reality. So, to kind of break it down for you, close to the North Pole, screws with compasses, but they're also talking about energy vortexes, and that's what I read a lot about. Was a lot of these theories are there these energy vortexes, which science proves that these things exist. And if you happen to be in an energy vortex, it can really mess with you. You can hallucinate, you can go crazy, you could become depressed, you could become disoriented. It just really screws with you. And so that's the thought, is that close to the North Pole, maybe something's messing up with compasses. Also being close to the North Pole and all the geo activity there, it could be creating these vortexes that are just messing with people.
You just really interesting. So you said science has already proven vortexes and stuff like that already
Mm-hmm.
exist.
They're not like what we like. When you think of science, you think of like a portal or something, but it's not like that. It's just because of the ground and the magnetics. Because birds like use magnets. They use
Right.
the Earth's magnetic field, and so because the Earth's magnetic field can be getting screwy, it can really mess with us psychologically.
Mm. Oh, so do we as humans have somewhat of a little bit of a magnetic field in our mind too?
I think so.
Okay, just interesting. Okay. That kind of sounds a bit plausible to me. So I know we have other theories that we got to get through though, but okay,
Yeah.
the wheels are turning in my head. So I don't know.
So while local magnetic variations is miserable, it's typically known and accounted for in navigation. So extreme interference is considered rare and anecdotal. So the problem with this theory is, while yes, these vortexes and everything exist and all this, scientists can actually track it. And a lot of times before people go flying, they take this stuff into account. So while yes, this could be happening, and a lot of these extreme cases are very rare, so this might be at least plausible just because we know it could be coming. And so that way we would be prepared for it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, okay, so far I'm tracking. I'm like I kind of like these. So
Our second theory is infrasound and disorientation. So apparently, low frequency sound waves produced by wind patterns and terrain may cause psychological effects that lead people to panic or lose their sense of direction. So apparently, infrasound is a frequency that's below 20 hertz. It's inaudible to the human ear, but known to cause discomfort, anxiety, and fear in laboratory settings. So they've been able to find out that in laboratory settings that these low frequency sounds can really drive people crazy and bonkers. So, when rushing over the mountain passes or through cave systems, they might be able to create that frequency. And if you're in a survival situation, even a small panic response, can cause people to become lost and stray off path or make fatal mistakes. Now, we actually got a callback because upon my research, this theory has been used to explain other mysteries like the Devalte Pass incident in Russia. So you remember when we covered the
I
Devalte Pass incident?
I was gonna say this does sound very similar to when we talked about that because yeah, I mean somewhat of a wilderness, icy cold conditions, just a lot of opportunity for people to get lost. So yeah, I'm seeing some threads of similarity there
There's
for
some
sure.
threads and similarities. The and so I mean that makes sense to me. Like we have scientific evidence that proves okay, these low frequencies can really mess with people psychologically. So it is possible in a survival scenario. If you just went out in the Alaskan wilderness to camp and then this wind happens to blow right through the mountain, just right, you can flip a switch and go bat crap crazy. Now, unfortunately, studies have shown that infrasound can influence human emotion perception, as we stated before. Although, how often this occurs naturally, that's up to debate. So this could be happening pretty frequently, or it could be another rare occurrence. We just don't know. It's debated among scientists.
So what is the exact nature of the debate? Because like I kind of
It's
broadly
just
like
it. The debate is just how rare it can be in an actual scenario like this. We know that these sounds can cause this. Like we know that like if somebody listens to this sound constantly, it can really screw with you. It's just a question of how often can it happen.
okay.
Like how often this can occur naturally.
So it's
Like
it's not necessarily a debate of quality of what it does to you. It's a debate of how much it does to you.
because in the lab settings because in the lab settings they naturally like they artificially produce it. This is saying how often can it happen naturally.
Yeah,
Like if this wind is truly blowing through these mountains and dropping it, a really low hertz, can it actually really screw with you? Or well, we know it can screw with you, but like how often can it actually do that where it can blow through the mountains and be enough to drive you
yeah,
to insanity?
yeah. No, that totally makes sense. So hey, beware of the crazy wind. It blows your mind. So oh, that sounded a little like a innuendo. Anyway, all right, we'll move on.
She blew him away.
Okay. Anyway, uh,
All
Haley
right.
flipped that, isn't she? So okay.
Well, unfortunately, probably not because we've been behind on clips.
Oh well, yeah.
Oops.
Send it to me. I can try to edit some clips out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll probably say I'll send it to her because it might end up in like a compilation.
Yeah, send it to her still, but send it to me. I have a little bit of time tomorrow, so I can make some reels.
Okay. Yeah, because you got to make the one video. Anyways,
Yeah.
so the third theory is that there could be something paranormal or extraterrestrial.
There it is. I was like, aliens has to be a theory. So
Yeah, so the area may be a hotspot for UFO activity, alien abductions, or even interdimensional portals.
yeah,
So
I mean, so basically all the stuff we've talked about with aliens before,
yeah,
which I'm maybe you got far enough in your research, maybe you didn't, but has like anyone reported seeing any kind of weird green lights or silver flying disc things or anything like that, or have people just disappeared and no one's really been able to come back to tell us if they've seen anything like that?
well, you'll be surprised because there have been multiple UFO sightings that have been reported in the triangle,
Huh.
especially near military bases and during aircraft disappearances.
The kind of stuff that would be able to track alien activity. Okay, see, it's things like that where normally I'm a alien non-believer. Well,
Mhm.
when you have multiple reports in the same area and you have weird stuff going in that area, that's where I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe, man, maybe. Because
Maybe.
I'm like, this is definitely not aliens. But just like with the Frederick Valentich episode, I'm just like, I see something cooking here. So
Yeah. So now some theorists claim that we're going back. I told you some of these theories can stack up. So the electromagnetic issues could be accounted to aliens, technology, and wormholes.
maybe, yeah. I mean, it's just like obviously something weird is going on here, right? And so I tend to trust the magnetic theory a little bit more of why things might be being affected. But who knows, man? Maybe it could be aliens too. So
Who knows? There also is a theory that there could be time slips and dimensional portals, and that these could explain that the idea that some people that disappear in the triangle don't really just disappear; they kind of shift into parallel timelines and slip through time.
Ah, I see. Time travel
Yeah.
was not
So
on my theory bingo card.
no, but there are some people who have claimed to have missing time, and that there are abduction narratives, which are common in alien lore. They emerge from people who claim to have survived a disappearance experience. So some people have gone in the triangle, claim to have disappeared, and then come back, and they claim that they were taken by aliens.
Oh, so they said they actually were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what? I mean, like I said, I'm usually pretty skeptical, but the more we dive deeper into this, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe there's some alien stuff going on. I don't know.
Well, you ready? Because there's a notable claim that in the 1980s, several military personnel reported seeing strange lights near the Brooks Range inside the triangle. Their instruments malfunctioned, and they lost track of time for over an hour.
Okay, that's something. That is
Yeah,
definitely so. Is this the episode I become a believer? I don't know.
could be.
How many
Um,
how many episodes in are we now? Like almost 60?
I
Not
think we're
60.
at 58,
Yeah?
maybe getting close to 60. 60 episodes is how long it took us.
I know,
In
right?
60 episodes, Steven is going to be a tinfoil wearing hat. He's gonna stop podcasting and he's gonna move away because he's like, everyone's a lizard person. I gotta get away.
I know. Lizard people and aliens and underground tunnels run by the okay, anyway. before I
Anyways,
before I get too
now the next theory, I really like this theory. Like, if we like, obviously there's like a list of what's believable, but there's also like a list of the coolest theories, and this one is really cool because it's indigenous lore. So the ancient legends and spiritual beliefs offer alternative explanations rooted in Alaskan native traditions. So, a theory we have about what could be happening is thanks to the native tribes of Alaska. I am going to mispronounce this terribly, but the Tlingit people tell of the Kushtaka, a shape-shifting otter-like being that lures people into the wilderness and steals their souls or transform
that
them.
pronunciation is going in the compilation list, but
Yeah, it's gonna go there.
you said it's a otter creature
It's
that
a shape-shifting otter-like being, and it like lures people in the woods. Like,
and
I got free
steals
candy in my van.
it steals their souls.
Steals their soul.
That was also not on my theory bingo card, but here we are.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
all
might
right.
cover this. This might be a cryptid we cover later. So
I was gonna say that sounds really interesting. My only concern is would there be enough information to make an episode?
yeah,
But
I'll have
you
to
think that?
find out.
Well, hey, let's. If not, I mean, we can cover it in this episode, I guess. But all right, go ahead though.
Some stories warn of mountains or lakes that consume people, suggesting cursed locations or thin places between worlds. These legends may be metaphorical ways to warn community members of real dangers in the wild, but they also kind of more feed into the mystery. Spirit beings, shamans, and ancestral gardens are common in the stories of Alaskan indigenous culture, and in many, disappearing into nature is a spiritual event, not a physical death. So, yeah, the Native Americans believe that by you disappearing in the woods, you're not dying; it's a spiritual event for you.
Sheesh, that's kind of dark. It's just like, oh no, he didn't die. Just the spirits took him.
Yep,
I'm like, what do you mean the spirits took? Like, what are you talking about? So,
he's with the spirits now.
oh man,
And our Native American listeners are throwing their phones at the wall.
I know. There you go. Right.
This racist white dude and other Indian who thinks he's an Indian. Urgh.
They're making fun
So
of spiritual traditions. I'm not making
my
fun of
grandfather disappeared in the Alaskan wilderness. How dare you? He's with the spirits now.
no, no, no.
Yeah. So of course, my notes say a respect note. While fascinating, these stories are sacred to many cultures and should be presented with cultural sensitivity and acknowledgement. Something we did not do.
if we
It's what they
if
all I can
there's
think about.
next week, it's because the Native American spirits stole our souls in the middle of the night.
We're just gonna be
It's okay.
dude. All I can think about is
Uh,
talking about the like where they're like, oh, it's a spiritual event. All I can think about is the scene from Young Guns. I think you watched Young Guns with me. If not, when you come down in a couple weeks, we're gonna watch Young Guns. There's a scene where they took a bunch of so in Young Guns, one of the guys who's running with the gang is actually an Indian, and so they're like trying to figure out what they have to do, and he's like, all right, so we need to take peyote and figure this out. So they took a whole bunch of peyote, and so imagine a whole bunch of white guys with one Indian taking a whole bunch of peyote. I mean, maybe one of them was Mexican, but there's only one Indian guy in the group. So he's fine with the peyote, but all the other guys are like hallucinating and all this. And so he takes them to his village, his like Indian village. And so they're all like high as crap. And all I can think about is the scene where they're like, he's like, can they see us? And he's like, they can't see us. It's because we're in the spirit world, asshole. Because they're just high and they think they're in the spirit world. They're like, they can't see us because we're with the spirits.
The the peyote and everything. I don't know. There's just a lot of things in that where
listen. Unfortunately, the government banned it. Maybe we can write a letter to Trump and have it unbanned. And me and you should do peyote for one episode, like a Patreon episode. Will, do you see the knot deer over there?
Can you But you can do it on Native American lands, though, right?
You can do it for ceremonies.
For what?
Ceremonies.
Oh, but they're not going to buy that because we're not actually. Well, maybe I could dress up like a Native American.
Grow your hair out. Yep, grow your hair out. Shave your beard.
There we go. So, this episode's going to get us canceled.
Yeah. Well, we thought last week we'd get canceled, but no, it's this week.
Jokes. Don't ban us, YouTube. Spotify /
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, there you go. Don't do drugs. See, this video is for your benefit.
Don't do drugs.
If you're not watching the video.
Did you learn not to do drugs from Dare? No, I learned not to do drugs from Will and Steven.
There you go. Who said Beyond the Campfire couldn't be good for
educational?
Right?
Alcohol? Don't do that.
Hire us to teach your 6th grade health class. But not sex.
Could you imagine us being teachers?
I guess Will could, but not me. But
we couldn't be teachers, man.
Anyway, there you go.
Anyways, the next theory: secret military projects and government conspiracies.
See, now stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
All I can hear in my head right now is Fillmore going, "It's a government conspiracy, man."
I know.
So the theory is that the government is hiding advanced experiments and people are disappearing because of secret activity or cover-ups. So one project of the military we're going to cover, we're not going to go too much into it, but is the HAARP, or High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which is based in, here we go, Jacona, and it was developed to study the ionosphere, but has been blamed for everything from mind control to weather manipulation. So we'll talk about HAARP at some point later in the podcast, but just know it's a government study, and people think it could be messing with some things. Some theorists believe underground bases or black budget programs are hidden in the Alaskan wilderness, and those who stumble too close are eliminated or vanished. So we got a Denver airport in Alaska.
So we had the Denver airport, and now we got this one.
And to kind of play into that theory is actually the massive lack of resolution in cases like Hale Boggs' case, where disappearances feed suspicion. Because as I said, they only looked for Hale Boggs for like a month, and they searched 32,000 square miles and never found a lick of anything. So that's why some people think it could be something involved with the government. Some link this to broader ideas of deep state surveillance or even alien-human collaboration.
Wait, so aliens and the government working together?
Oh, they've been working together for years. What are you talking about?
Oh, shoot. Okay, that's a pretty interesting theory.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you think about it, because I should have mentioned this during Extraterrestrial, but do you remember like a couple of years ago when there was all them like sightings of things over Alaskan airspace?
Yeah.
You ever seen that in the news?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
So, yeah, what's going on in Alaska?
I'll tell you this, man. If aliens did exist, I'm pretty sure the government would have found out by now. So,
well, think about Roswell.
Yeah, it makes me think, like, again, and this is assuming aliens exist. The government knows about them, they're just not telling us. And who knows, maybe they're even
Well,
with them on some things.
there are
So,
some whistleblowers who are trying to get all that stuff declassified, and I think they either they have declassified them or they have not yet. But people are saying that they might have declassified them, and the government has acknowledged that there's proof of aliens.
look at that.
So we
That's
might need to look into that.
I know we did a Area 51 episode, but I think we just need to do like a aliens and the government episode, like just aliens and the government in general.
Oh, we've got a lot of alien episodes coming out in the future. If Steven does not become a believer because of Frederick Valentich, there's a lot of these alien cases that I think we could get Steven believing in.
There we go. So, like and follow our podcast if you want to hear some more.
I know.
If you're still watching this far into, what are we
Yeah.
like? What 35 minutes in or something?
Hey, we're doing good though. We're rock and rolling.
There we go. I like it. Let's keep on.
All right. So critics say that these theories are based more on distrust of authority than actual evidence, but there's might be still some compelling, content for speculative segments. We can sit here and talk about it because I mean it's just you don't trust the government. The government's the government. I mean, Alaska is a perfect place to hide something. Forget the Denver airport. That was stupid. You shouldn't have done the Denver airport, but maybe they did the Denver airport, realized it was stupid, and then they moved to Alaska.
There you go. It's just, hey, in the age of air travel, you can fly to all of these places pretty quickly. So I mean, hey, who's to say, man?
Our next to last theory is psychological and sociological factors. So this kind of goes not like earlier we were talking about there can be the vortexes that could cause people to kind of go crazy. However, this theory is that isolation, survival stress, mental health crises could play a huge role in what happens. This is kind of getting more to the less fun theories. Alaska has actually some of the highest rates of mental illness, substance abuse, and suicide in the U.S. People sometimes go into the wilderness intentionally to disappear, start over, or end their lives. If you guys remember, me and Steven at one point were saying if we ever did a murder-suicide or something, we died at the same time, you guys can find us in the Bahamas or you can find us in Alaska because Alaska's where we want to go to restart your life.
Or Argentina if you're a German painter with a funny mustache.
Yep. Cabin fever or bush madness are actual real psychological phenomenon associated with extreme isolation and long dark winters. Combine this with the natural dangers of the region, and you have a recipe for unexplained vanishings. Some bodies are never recovered due to ice, terrain, or animals, making the final cause of disappearance forever uncertain. So, the last theory we have before we kind of go into details is the most likely theory, but the least fun theory. And that's, Alaska's harsh, deadly terrain. Most disappearances are due to nature itself, extreme weather, vast wilderness, geographical isolation. As I said earlier, 57 million acres of wilderness, caves, caverns, like glaciers, weather problems. There's weather patterns, sudden storms or whiteouts. Extreme temperatures can disorientate even experienced outdoors people. Small aircraft, which are common for traveling around Alaska, are especially vulnerable. This
that was my guess.
Mm-hmm. And another thing to kind of add to the theory is this is just why the natural forces may explain many of the disappearances, but the frequency and lack of recovery fuel further speculation. And so a lot of what I read about the theories that a lot of people have is because, like I said, there's this amount of snow or there's, the weather and everything in Alaska. Steve and I can be flying in a plane, the plane could disappear, and then they look and look and look. And then by the time they get to the right spot, there could be a snowstorm that came through and the wreckage of it and everything is buried under, 6 feet of snow. You're not going to find anything. Then it's just because of the amount of wilderness, the wild animals, the weather, everything. That's what a lot of people contribute. They take out the aliens and all that, and they say it's just the weather. And the reason for this is because there is a disappearance we're going to talk about, and it's Gary Frank Sutherden, who is a 25-year-old New Yorker, and he went missing during a hunting trip in the Alaskan wilderness in the 70s.
Ish.
His skull was not found until 1997, and
Ah,
DNA later confirmed it belonged to him, and it was likely he died by a bear. So those are the theories. So we've got wild animals and the wilderness, which I mean that's got to be the reason. But you've got a lot of other things. So what do you think, Steve? I mean, what do you think's happening in Alaska?
I'm the boring guy. I'm just like, hey, big Alaskan wilderness, lots of snow, lots of ice, crazy weather conditions, a lot of wild animals out there. Like to me, it just seems like I think nature takes its course, and a lot of people disappear there because it's just a wild place. Um, I will say you did mention a lot of these theories could be layered on to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I do think a lot of it probably is just natural stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there. So the UFO sightings that you mentioned, the people that came back and said they were
Mm-hmm.
abducted, the weird government stuff going on. If I were to layer two other theories underneath my Alaska is just a big wild wilderness theory, the government theory and the alien theory, I think, kind of fit a little bit nicely into there as well.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I mean, this is about as close to being a true believer as I've gotten, um, Frederick Valentich included. But that's my thoughts. I lean towards the logical side, but
Mm-hmm.
layered under the logical stuff, I'm like aliens and governments kind of make sense in this.
Yeah, I think if I can kind of break it down into different categories for me. I think if anything, I think the weather theory and the wilderness theory works the best. I think that makes sense. I do think that the two theories that you could kind of, or really three theories you could kind of tack underneath there to make it all come together and make sense is I do believe the low frequency sounds that drive people crazy. I think some of the psychological factors, like, I mean, Alaska is a dark place. I mean, how long is night? Night is like 10 months out of the year, you know, and it's darkness. And so there's a lot of psychological factors, I think, based off of it that naturally, mess with people. I think another theory you could attack on there is the electromagnetic, the vortexes they were talking about. I think with those three and then the weather and the wilderness, I think that really can make people disappear like crazy. And that's the most logical reasoning, I think. However, I do like the idea of, I mean, if I'm the government, and we've already got proof that the HAARP program is up there, which there's conspiracy theories about that we'll cover in the future. So I think the most logical was those three or those four I said, the weather, the psychological factors, the vortexes, all that. To me, I want to believe that the government could be behind something. Because if you get too close to government research that you're not supposed to see, you disappear. And I do like the idea of aliens because, I mean, like we said, there's proof of that. That that we've had sightings of evidence in UFOs. I think the funnest theory to me though is the indigenous people one. I think that is pretty cool. But I think the problem with the Alaska wilderness is we can speculate. I don't think we'll ever find out what truly happens to these people.
I was gonna say, who's to say any of these theories, or maybe all of these theories? It's just it's the nature of the place is one where it is just easy to be secret if you want to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, people go to Alaska to disappear, to get off the grid. And I think there's because we can't ever find these people or find any evidence of these people. And it's just that adds to the mystery because it's like we could say it's a bear attack. We could say it was snow. We could say the guy went crazy because of frequencies. But again, we don't find any evidence. So nothing's going to disprove aliens. Nothing's going to disprove government involvement. Nothing's going to disprove anything. Nothing can be disproved because there's nothing to prove anything. And therefore, there's nothing to disprove, if that makes sense. There's no evidence. There's nothing. These people just disappear off the face of the earth. And it's like, why? Who knows?
Who knows? All I know is, unless we get enough money for Patreon, I am never planning to go there ever.
I'm never going there. Mm-mm.
I got too much I care about. So
Yeah, I'm not going in the Alaskan wilderness. Hey, listen, if you guys love us doing this, maybe in about 60 years we'll go. We'll be 80.
basically when we're about to die.
Right.
Because
They'll be like,
I'll be 87 by that point.
I'll be 85.
Yeah. Which the average age that a U.S. man dies is 78. So I mean, I mean, unless we beat the odds, we'll be dead, man.
I think we can beat the odds.
I'll have to beat him by a lot. You'd only have to beat it by, well, you'd have to beat it by a lot too. But well, hey,
All right, man.
Is that all we got for this one?
That's all we got for this one.
Alrighty. Well, hey, our dearly beloved s'mores, thank you for joining us as always, and we will see you. Actually, by the time, not this episode, but next week's episode comes out, I'll have graduated law school. So,
And I'm still in college.
exciting stuff ahead. Exciting stuff ahead. But
yeah, make sure you guys go follow the Patreon. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, because I don't want to go back to class. I want to keep podcasting, and we want this to be a job. And we can only do that with viewers like you. Thank you.
There we go. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this.
And yeah, don't go flying in Alaska.